How many of us have ever heard that we're all going to die? And that this is all expression or saying that we've all heard before. Well, it was once said that by a man named Rooney that nothing in fine print is ever good news. And today I'd like to explain what are usually the types of places that we usually see this kind of stuff, and how this kind of affects society, and then also kind of like how we can try to avoid taking this, how we can help change society from always having this bad news, in a sense. So, first of all, I'd like to kind of explain, where it usually comes from, which is kind of like, if you ever been to like a newspaper stand, we've all seen the Inquirer before. They always have the most coolest stuff ever. Alien invasion's gonna take over the world, and all this kind of stuff, and that intrigues people. People are like, what is this? What is this really going to happen? It's fine print. It tells us that we're all going to die. Why can't it happen? So, there's plenty of other places too. In the sense of the news. How many of us have actually watched the news and the first 5 things that they say are that someone died in Arcadia, someone died in LA, someone died in the city of Orange. In the sense of bad relations with a foreign country. These are all because in the sense that people get more intrigued by bad things than anything else. That society kind of has like a wanting to know the bad news over the good news. Also in the sense of that just because we see it also, we also tend to believe it too. Just because it's in like an article or something, we choose to believe what we're told. And that's where they turn their papers towards. They try to show us that that if it sells, let's give it to them. So in a way also that we can try to avoid this type of stuff is is that wanting to always see the bad stuff in life. It's never going to be good. That's what we've kind of all been told at least once in our life, that life is not going to have a happy ending. We're going to, true life kind of has bad endings sometimes. And this is kind of a perception that we can kind of change in a good way, in the sense of if society wants to see more that, in the sense of not wanting to see bad things, in the sense of wanting to, move beyond just people dying, maybe try to find out a cure of a certain disease or a hospital that saved a child. In the sense of it would start to be published more. It'd be good news instead of always the bad news on all our nice fine print that we have in this great country of ours. That's kind of why, we can try to avoid what we got going on here, and that we can try to, work together, and we can try to stop turning the bad prints into good fine print. Thank you.
It's easy. It's just.
What do you learn? Do you really 1 + 1 is 3?
Who's your teacher?
Farnham. He's cool, but.
All right, you have got an okay statement for your attention device. The connection to the quote was a little odd. I wasn't quite sure how it all matched up. It seems like you've got a very broad thesis statement, and I think if it was more focused, you'd be in better shape. And because of that, the setup, although you've got some sense that there's a direction that you're headed in, I didn't really feel like it was structured as clearly as it could be, and that there's a sense of building or forward progress. I really felt several times like I was just kind of sitting in the same place, hearing the same thing, and it's got no momentum to it. You've got a couple of catchphrases that you want to watch out for. The you-knows were not too bad. There were a few of them, but boy, if I hear "in a sense" one more time, I think I'm going to scream. Because you've got a good... There's nothing wrong with using it occasionally, but you've got it as a crutch. That's one of those things where you're using it over and over and over again, and it becomes distracting. Your voice projects pretty well. There's okay variety in your voice. Pacing's about right. Sometimes your gestures are very good indicators, and you seem involved in other times that's where your anxiety comes out. There's one point where your anxiety comes out, you've got your fingers locked in front of you, and you're kind of, wrestling with them at one point, and I just thought that's all of his anxiety coming out right there. He's not quite sure what to do there, and so you want to be a little bit more deliberate. Good audience contact for the most part. I thought you stepped up to speak to the audience. That was pretty effective. At the end, even though I didn't really feel like there was a lot of momentum to the speech, at least you came back to what the point was that you were trying to make, and you tried to find an exit that would work for the presentation. Thank you.